Hello friends, I am Rashesh Parmar, your biology teacher, and today we are going to start a new chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. As we have already learned what is reproduction, reproduction is a process by which living organisms produce new offsprings or new individuals of same kind. Here, offsprings of same kind, we mean that a dog cannot give birth to a cat. Okay, dog will give birth to same breed of dog. Okay, breed cannot be changed as well. Okay, so now here another question arises, that why is reproduction essential? Okay, so as the definition suggests, first point, reproduction is essential because it allows organisms to produce new individuals of their own kind. Second, it ensures the continuity of particular species by, even if death is occurring due to biotic factors or abiotic factors, such as competition or predation, and abiotic factors such as natural calamities. Okay. Third, it helps to create variations by recombination. So, for example, we can see many different kind of humans with different skin colors, okay, or hair textures. Okay, so all these different variants are because of variations created during sexual reproduction by recombination. Okay, so before going into the details, we would like to discuss particular terminology, that is lifespan. Now, what is lifespan? Lifespan is a time period between birth and death of particular organism. That is called lifespan. Okay, if we closely look at the lifespan of particular organism, we would observe different phases in their lifespan. First is birth, which is followed by a juvenile phase. Okay, now juvenile phase is a non-reproductive phase, and the organism will grow during this phase. Okay, so it is non-reproductive phase. Okay, juvenile phase is followed by reproduction. Okay, so whichever organism has grown to its adult organism, then that particular organism will reproduce in reproduction phase. Okay, and in this particular chapter we are going to discuss in detail about reproduction. Okay, reproduction is followed by aging or senescence. Aging or senescence. In terms of animal, we use aging term, and in terms of plants, we use senescence. Okay, so this is also a non-reproductive phase where organisms do not reproduce. Okay, then it is followed by death, which is inevitable. Okay, so lifespan of all the organisms are different. For example, shortest lifespan of organism is mayfly. Okay, it is of 24 hours only, or 1 day. Okay, so from birth to death it takes only 24 hours to complete one lifespan. Okay, that's why it is called it is also called 1 day insect. Okay, and if we talk about animals, then longest lifespan of different organisms are tortoises. They can live up to 100 to 150 years, and bowhead whale can live up to 150 years. Okay, parrots can live, if we talk about birds, then parrots can live up to 140 years, and crow can live up to 15 years. Okay, so here arises another question: does size of an organism depend? Uh, does lifespan of an organism depends on their size? So no, because you can see parrots and crow both are of about same size. Okay, but they have a huge difference in their lifespan. So size of the organism doesn't influence lifespan of the organism. Okay, if we talk about plants, then plants can live up to several hundred years to 1,000 years. Okay, so 100 to 1,000 years. Okay, banyan tree and eucalyptus tree can live up to several hundred years. Okay, so now we'll start with another topic, that is types of reproduction, that is asexual and sexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction includes single parent. Single parent. So only one parent or one individual is required for asexual reproduction, whereas sexual reproduction requires two parent or two individuals. Okay, that is male and female organism. Okay, second is there is no formation and fusion of gametes. Yes, so in asexual reproduction there is no formation of gametes as well as no fusion of gametes, whereas sexual reproduction requires formation of and fusion of gametes. Okay, third point, reproduction involves only mitosis. This type, asexual reproduction, involves only mitosis. Now in 11th standard you already have studied mitosis and meiosis. Okay, so asexual reproduction involves only mitosis, whereas sexual reproduction involves meiosis during gametogenesis. And mitosis during embryogenesis. And later on stages. Okay, so sexual reproduction involves meiosis during gametogenesis, that is gamete formation, and mitosis during embryogenesis, that is embryo formation. Okay, another difference is that the offsprings produced are called clones. Okay, so offsprings produced by asexual reproductions are called clones, because these offsprings are genetically and morphologically identical. Okay, so they are genetically and morphologically same, whereas offsprings are different. Because of variations by recombination. Okay, this we already have discussed in previous question that why is reproduction essential. Okay, we have discussed that by variations and recombinations, different type of skin colors and hair textures are observed. These are variations because of sexual reproduction. Okay, so these are all the differences between asexual and sexual reproduction, and these are the two types of reproduction. Okay, so now we'll start with asexual reproduction in detail. We'll discuss all the different methods involved in asexual reproduction. Okay, different organisms use different type of mechanisms in asexual reproduction. So we'll discuss. As we have discussed, asexual reproduction involves only single parent. Okay. Now, types of asexual reproduction. First type of asexual reproduction is fission. Fission means splitting. Fission means splitting, and the organisms reproducing through fission are immortals, are believed to be immortals. We'll discuss this in first type. Okay, so now on the basis of number of cells produced by splitting, fission is divided into, classified into two different categories. That is, if particular organism is splitting into two number of cells, okay, two daughter cells, then it is called binary fission. Okay, so first is binary fission. A, binary fission. Okay, and the typical example of binary fission is amoeba. Okay, so let's say if this is amoeba, we are not going in that much detail. Okay, so this amoeba will divide and produce two daughter amoebae. They will be in smaller size. These two cells will regrow and take the size of a parent amoeba, and then again they will divide into two daughter amoebae. Okay, so this is called binary fission. Now here you can see that there is no death of an organism. Okay, this organism is dividing and producing new daughter cells. Okay, but this organism is not dying. Okay, it is taking rebirth as a daughter cells. Okay, and these cells will grow in size and then again take rebirth in another 2 cells. So there is no death over here. That's why these type of organisms are considered as immortals. So now we'll discuss second type of the second type of fission, that is multiple fission. In multiple fission, number of cells produced by splitting are more than 2, right? They are more than 2. So there will be several cells producing at a time. The typical example of multiple fission is amoeba and plasmodium. Okay, we'll discuss both the cases. In amoeba, during unfavorable condition, okay, during unfavorable conditions, okay, unfavorable condition, what amoeba does, amoeba retract its pseudopodia and form a cyst around cell. Okay, cyst is a hard layer which covers the cell. Okay, so let's see this amoeba. These are all the pseudopodia, let's say, of amoeba. So it will retract all the pseudopodia and it will form a hard cover surrounding the cell. This is called cyst. This layer or this cover is called cyst, and this process is called encystation. This process is known as encystation. Okay. Now the parent amoeba will divide itself inside this cyst, okay, and form numerous daughter amoebae inside cyst. Okay, and when the favorable condition return, this cyst will break and all the daughter cell get released into the surrounding environment. Okay. Okay, so now we'll discuss second type of asexual reproduction, that is bud formation or budding. Budding means tiny growth produced on parent body. Okay, so budding means tiny outgrowth produces on the parent body. Okay, on the basis of location, on the basis of location of bud, it is classified into two different categories. That is, first is exogenous buds, exogenous budding, or second is endogenous budding. Okay, so exogenous budding means the bird which is producing on the body of parent is on the outer surface of the body. Okay, so bird grows on the outer surface of the body. Outer surface of the body. The example of exogenous budding is number 1, yeast. Yeast is unicellular eukaryotic organism commonly we call it fungi or fungus. Okay, so in this, let's say if this is a yeast, so outgrowth will start producing on the outer surface. It will grow and detach from the parent body, and start living as an individual. So this is exogenous budding. Second example of the exogenous budding is Hydra. Hydra is a sedentary organism which grows on surface. We call it as substratum. Okay, so let's say if this is a Hydra, okay, it is attached to a substratum, and these are all the tentacles. Okay, so it starts growing like a bird. Okay, and then it detaches from the parent body and start growing as an individual new organism. It will find another substratum for its growth. Okay, so this is another example, that is Hydra. Okay, so in both the cases we can see that the bird is forming on the outer side of the body. Okay, outer side of the or outer surface of the body. Now endogenous budding. Endogenous budding, where bird forms inside the body, right? And the typical example for endogenous budding is Spongilla. Spongilla is freshwater sponge. Freshwater sponge. Okay, so if we draw a sponge or spongilla, then cross section of sponge, then these are all the pores present on the outer surface. This is its mouth, and this is the spongocele, the cavity present inside its body, and all the birds will start growing inside the body. Okay, inside the spongocele, and this is the substratum where the sponge is attached. Okay, now these birds in Spongilla are called gemmules. These birds are known as gemmules. If we have a closer look at gemmule, the structure of gemmule is like this. It has center mass of cell. Okay, mass of cells are present in the center of this gemmule. These cells are known as archaeocytes. These cells are known as archaeocytes. Surrounding this mass of cells, there is a layer of gelatinous material. Okay, this layer of gelatinous material contains spindle-shaped structures which serves endoskeleton for the gemmule, and which can be seen in the fully grown sponge as well. Okay, so these are known as spicules. Spicules. As you can see, there is an opening at the top which is known as micropyle. Okay, so this is the structure of the gemmule. Now when these birds grow fully inside the spongocele or body cavity, they'll get separate from the parent body, and they attach to different substratum through this micropyle, and all the cells inside the gemmule will come out and form new spongy. Okay friends, so I hope you all have understood whatever we have studied so far. We'll discuss other types of asexual reproduction in next video, so stay tuned.